From Yeezy's rant about shoes to Nas having to deal with Nardwuar's weirdness, here's the most painfully awkward interviews with rappers of all time. Starting with Birdman and his record-breakingly short appearance on The Breakfast Club. From the moment he steps into the studio, he lets the Breakfast Club trio know that he wasn't there to play no games.
Yes, sir. I want to start this shit off straight, telling all three of y'all stop playing with my name.
Birdman kept repeating himself until he finally took a seat and put on his glasses. Then he just starts right back up, demanding respect.
All three of y'all, stop playing with my name. I ain't gonna say it no more.
The interview almost gets back on track from there. DJ Envy handles the introductions. After an awkward pause where the trio exchanges side glances and wonders what the hell they've just stepped into before Charlemagne steps in. He tries to cool things down, even telling Birdman to just get it off his chest. Birdman doesn't rise to the question.
I ain't gotta talk no more.
But Charlemagne won't let it go, leading to Birdman telling him exactly what he could have done rather than talk face to face.
I wanted to talk to you on your man in your face.
Absolutely.
You understand me? I knew a few places you was at. I could have pulled up, but I don't think that was gangster. I wanted to come look you in your face like a man and tell you how I feel.
Charlemagne tries to keep his cool, asking Birdman why he wants to pull up on a radio guy, but by that point, the respect is over.
God, don't act tough with the radio guy.
I hear you, my nigga. Y'all finished or y'all done? I ain't got no more talking. Let's rock.
All right.
Total interview time, 1 minute 40 seconds without a single question being answered. We'll be coming back to the Breakfast Trio and Charlemagne in particular later, but at least this next interview featured some questions and answers. In 2012, Odd Future made an appearance on the BBC show Newsnight, and what did the BBC want to talk about? Their lyrics. And that's when you know shit's about to go down. The interview's tone was set even before it started, with a sarcastic Jeremy Paxman barely masking his attempt as he shares Odd Future's full group name.
Their elders to sell music to their children. The latest development from a gang of Los Angeles rappers called Odd Future, or as their aunties know them, the Odd Future Wolf Gang, kill them all, expletive, expletive.
The sarcastic tone continues as Stephen Smith, who goes on to hold the interview, talks about Odd Future being the future of rock and roll, apparently forgetting he was about to interview a hip-hop group. Anyways, when the interview finally starts, Tyler the Creator knows exactly what they're in for, and he ain't got time to play the BBC's game.
Okay, now what about your lyrics?
What about them?
What are you saying in your lyrics?
Nothing. Shit to piss old white people off like you.
Is that right?
The BBC then switches into stuffy old white men mode when Smith tells Tyler that some people find the group's lyrics offensive.
Don't they? You've
Yeah,
heard that
some
before.
people find everything offensive. Okay.
You had kids queuing up since 4 o'clock. They couldn't take a picture of you.
Odd Future may have not given the BBC much of anything with that interview, but at least they could actually speak, unlike DMX, who was drunk, high, or both in his interview. DMX is barely present as the interviewer gets through his opening, slurring his words and saying something vague about the Rough Riders.
Everything been with you, man?
Sir, I'm good.
Seem like the streets?
That is great.
Street still riding with you, no love
The
lost?
streets ain't never stopped riding with me, man.
Eyes barely open. Dude starts mumble rapping the answers for every question the interviewer throws at him.
Coming out again,
Yeah.
collaboration, Rough Riders. You know what I'm saying? I seen y'all roll crazy deep and everything,
Yeah,
man. You know what I'm saying?
But he sparks into life when asked about his crew, waving his hand as he tells the camera.
Y'all don't even know how deep it is.
Oh, okay.
Yo,
And finally, he makes the call for his Rough Riders to come inside.
bring the arse in. Bring the arse in. Bring the arse in. Rough Riders. Bring the arse in. Bring the arse in. And you'll see, you know what I mean, what it is.
There's almost something wholesome about how DMX's crew rolls in, awkwardly standing as the rapper talks to the camera.
That's what we do, baby.
He's just trying to show off his homies and a few guys that look like they could handle the rigging for his shows.
Good line. Blah. What the hell? Hey? And there's more out there.
He almost looks like a proud dad introducing his children before the interview goes off the rails. Because suddenly, the interviewer is gone and DMX just takes over.
Rough Riders, you know, it is not a f***ing gun. Yeah.
This one was so awkward it can't even be counted as an interview. Unlike this next one, where Yeezy all of a sudden blasted his arrogance on full display. But first, Sway kicks things off with humor, playing back some of Kanye's other verbal highlights over the years.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
Things are cool. Yee's even smiling. Probably because Sway's given him the introduction of a literal god. But then, Sway gets onto fashion.
You need these people. It's like you said, you don't need anybody to do these things. You don't need Adidas if you want to do a new shoe. Why?
And Yee isn't having any of it.
Working on my clothing line, and I'm getting Kanye Wested constantly with the prices everywhere I go.
Sway suggests that Kanye just releases his stuff all by himself without middlemen, setting Kanye off on this 10-minute rant on the fashion industry, so I'll just give you the quick rundown. He needs production, so he needs the middlemen. He hasn't got the money to do it all himself, but Kanye can't help himself, and he's soon transitioning into how the industry is trying to hold him down. He claims Nike's trying to piggyback off his success, forcing stores to take 10 other shoes if they wanted to get their hands on Kanye's, all while telling Kanye himself that they weren't sure about working with him. Then the ego hits.
I am the #1 most impactful artist of our generation. I am Shakespeare in the flesh. Walt Disney, Nike, Google.
Pretty bold claims even for Kanye. Now, whether you agree with him or not, there's no denying he went miles off topic. And he doesn't make it much better when Sway asks him why he doesn't empower himself and do it without them.
Few steps back to go.
You ain't got the answers, man. You ain't got the answers. You ain't got the answers. You ain't got the answers, Sway.
Kanye,
I've been doing this more than you.
Doing what?
You ain't got.
It all just gets a little cringe when Kanye's screaming at him that he doesn't have the answers and hasn't invested $13 million of his own money into getting his footwear off the ground. Sway even got the self-control to let him finish before telling him that he ain't gotta go all out like that.
You ain't gotta turn up, man. This ain't no fucking show, man. I'm talking to you as a homie.
But if Kanye was in Nas's shoes when he had to deal with Nardwuar, shit could have gone crazy at any moment. Little context, if Nardwuar doesn't ring a bell, this dude calls himself the human serviette and conducts hella awkward interviews with musicians just for the memes. Some got it, some didn't, and Nas didn't.
This is insane, dog. Is this happening?
At least not until you dig deeper into the interview. Sure, all seems great between the two at first. Nardwuar presents Nas with a few records as gifts, showing there was a little bit of legit journalism inside the four-eyed weirdo character he played.
It is right here, Joski Love. What can tell the people about Joski Love and the Pee-wee dance?
It's one of the earliest records I used to hear come on the radio stations late.
A few more records pass hands, with Nardwuar's questions getting exponentially weirder. But it's when that Canadian journalist comedian hits Nas with a question about Biggie that shit hits the fan.
Now, what I was wondering, I heard Nas that at one time you did a freestyle for so many hours, and a person listening to that freestyle was Biggie. Is it true that Biggie fell asleep because your freestyle went on and on and on?
I don't know. That's a wild story. Where you get that from?
Pure disrespect. But Nas lets it slide, handling it with a smile. And this keeps going. More records were handed over, more weird questions, and eventually Nardwuar passes over some action figures to Nas and asks him why he can't find a Nas figure when he has the Iron Sheik.
Says, when is there a Nas action figure? I looked for one, but I couldn't find one. A Pete Rock comb, an MC Search clock, the Iron Sheik?
I don't know, homeboy. That's...
The irritation all over Nas's face, and he ain't about to let this disrespect continue.
Could you not put the mic so close? And what else you got in your trick bag?
But he makes his feelings clear as the interview draws to a close.
You are fucking nuts. You are fucking psycho, but it's all love, it's all music. Peace.
Nardwuar couldn't just end it there though, as he tries to get Nas to take part in the weirdest little sing-song I've ever heard.
Almost Nas, do-do-do-do-do.
Yo, it's over. Alright, it's over. It's over. Move the mic.
Now let's move on from what was almost a performance art piece hosted by a fake hipster, one Nas wanted no part in, to an interview featuring an actual hipster and Young Jeezy. It's 2008 and Vice is doing what Vice does best when something hot comes along, trying to jump on the bandwagon. This time around it's Trap's turn and Vice has decided that Young Jeezy is the man to represent the subgenre. Thomas Morton hosts the interview, and the contrast couldn't be clearer. On one side sits Young Jeezy, in a white tee and cap radiating cool. On the other is Morton, nerdy glasses, straggly hair, looking like a geek who's absolutely uncomfortable being there. It gets off to a rough start with Morton talking about ratios of guys to girls. We still don't know what he's talking about, and neither does Jeezy with his silence speaking volumes.
Like, it always seemed like there was like too many guys per girl for that. Like, you'd always see like a girl standing on a car, and then there'd be like 8 dudes around her.
That little intake of breath when Morton gets no answer tells you everything you need to know about how awkward that question felt. He tries to recover by asking about Jeezy's Black Flag crew, but this assumption that the crew was named after a popular band in the hardcore genre just gets more one-word answers and silence out of Jeezy.
Can I ask you about your crew, the Black Flag crew?
Yeah.
Are you a fan of Black Flag, the hardcore band?
And it just keeps happening. Silence and one-word answers followed by awkward questions until finally, a spark of life. Morton asks about boiled peanuts, which are delicacies in Jeezy's native Georgia, and the rapper's eyes light up for just a second. Even starts talking about how his grandmother used to make them before she passed. Then Morton ruins it all again.
I could never eat those. They taste like wet paper or something.
Not good.
The situational awareness is so low here that it's unbearable, because Morton then goes on to call Macon, Georgia, Young Jeezy's hometown, the most boring place on earth. The whole thing is just painful to watch, with 2 minutes of talking feeling like 10.
That kind of covers all my questions.
As bored as Young Jeezy looked when talking to Vice, at least he stayed awake, unlike Young Jock when he was interviewed by Jump Off TV in 2011 at the start of his first ever tour of the UK. And to be fair to Young Jock, he was upfront with the interviewer right off the bat.
Sit down, that's cool. Right, we don't need to get you standing up. Or are you gonna fall asleep?
I won't fall asleep. It's good. Just don't ask me no boring questions.
And for about 5 minutes, the interview goes off pretty well, until he suddenly lets out a huge yawn. And then it happens.
What do you think that Southern hip hop has done for hip hop in general? Can you imagine?
Sure, the dude probably faked it, especially with the little finger tap as he woke up, but fake or not, the message was clear. This is boring. Young Jock does try to explain what's going on after he opens his eyes.
I'm trying to explain it, but man, like I have never done an interview where I've just blanked out. And I've done it on every interview that like, I don't think it was.
That's hip hop, man.
I wish they would have known. No, I really wish they would have known.
But it's clear there's some miscommunication going on. I mean, if you're gonna ask the most basic questions about the rap game, why don't you just let the dude sleep? There ain't no disrespect going on here. Just Young Jock falling victim to his own tiredness. And at least he didn't have to face any difficult questions about his past. He'd have probably slept through them anyway. That's more than we could say for Kodak Black's most awkward interview of his career. It's December 2018 and Kodak rocks up to the Hot 97 studio for Abro in the morning. For 15 minutes, everything was going great. Abro kept the focus on Kodak's music and his life, but Abro couldn't help but bring up one thing that he shouldn't: Kodak's pending sexual assault case.
But, you know, we take sexual assault here serious, and we can't, get into details, but we hope, to have you back so we can have a deeper conversation about that, because, this is a serious topic, and we're hearing these stories a lot.
Sure, he doesn't actually ask a question about the case since it was ongoing at the time, but even mentioning it when Kodak obviously didn't pull up to talk about that instantly killed the vibe. Safe to say Kodak's response was a pretty clear no. Looking at Kanye tells you everything you need to know. Dude wasn't done with it. Peter Rosenberg tries to get things back on track by asking Kodak about moon landing conspiracies.
Kodak, do you believe that our moon landing in 1969 actually took place?
What the f*** y'all talking about?
But obviously it's too late, and Abro tries to confront the elephant in the room.
You seem upset that I brought it up.
Sometimes when it's like we going through shit, like, y'all be entertained by bullshit. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. So it's like, change the subject, I'm finna walk out.
But we don't have to talk about nothing else. We could be done right here.
All right, I'm gone. Say less.
Kodak Black storms out of the studio with the interview ending on a sour note that Kodak clearly wasn't expecting when he walked into the studio.
That's a bummer.
At least Kodak left when he was unhappy with the questioning. Lil Uzi Vert probably should have bounced too when he found himself talking to a group of hip-hop boomers. It's 2016 and Lil Uzi Vert appears on Hot 97. Uzi hasn't been shy about feeling uncomfortable in interviews in the past, but this one was another level. Back then, he was a rising star in the rap game with his Love Is Rage and Lil Uzi Vert vs. the World mixtapes, catching some mainstream attention. Again, it all starts well enough. Hey bro, there's that guy again. And his crew chat with Vert about skateboarding and ask some pretty basic questions about his rapping and affiliations. But of course, Abro had other plans as he tries to get Vert to drop some bars on a track that doesn't suit his flow, telling him that he does that to all these young cats to see what they really have.
It's gonna be a lot of young guys coming up here and they ain't gonna want to rap on that. I'm trying to tell you, it's changing.
Yo, look,
it's changing.
I hope they change. I hope they change. As I've seen with all you little young motherfuckers that think you nice.
Yeah.
So y'all get to like 27, 28, and y'all niggas get to struggling and y'all be trying to come back to find that sound.
I ain't gonna struggle, bro.
All right, we're gonna see.
Yeah. It's gonna be totally different too. Like I'm gonna be all the way a rock star by then.
Well, safe to say Uzi got the last laugh on that one. It's now 8 years later, and he's still dropping hits, without having to come crying back to Hot 97. Now, dropping hits is what this next rapper was accused of not doing when she found herself on The Breakfast Club in 2011. The interview came on the back of Lil Mama making a few headlines. She'd accused Nicki Minaj of stealing her style, and had even crashed the stage at Madison Square Garden when Jay-Z and Alicia Keys were duetting on Empire's State of Mind. All of this set the stage for an interview with The Breakfast Club, where Charlamagne went in on Lil Mama.
Lil Mama, you have a lot of confidence, and that's a good thing.
Thank you.
But you have to actually, no, seriously, you actually have to accomplish a lot more before you come off as cocky as
But
you
I
do.
didn't come off as cocky.
Every question seemed more like a roast as Charlamagne hit Lil Mama hard on her claims against Minaj.
You got a question for her? You just calling to shoot the You think Nicki Minaj stole Lil Mama style?
And how nobody's listening to her music.
You need a better internet team.
It's perfect.
You need a better
It's
internet
out.
team on Team Period, because I've never heard of that record.
Well, you gotta look
And you
it
said
up.
it's
You're
everywhere.
not checking for me. You looking for Jay-Z and Alicia Keys to me.
At one point, the rapper even seems to seriously consider moving to Paris to get away from it all.
For me, Little Mama, I feel like right now you're not focused on doing music. You said that you want to take a hiatus from music. You said that you want to move to Paris and all these different things, which leads me to believe that music is not your focus right now.
But she kept at that interview and wouldn't back down. Charlamagne kept roasting her though, and when he brings up that Lil Mama was only making headlines for her antics away from music, including the Minaj claims, he sets the rapper up for a fall. Mama tells him that she's on the show and they're not even focusing on her music, and she gives as good as she's getting, at least for a while, when she roasts Charlamagne for the black scar he has on his face.
Listen here, chill out, Jurassic Park, Tyrannosaurus Rex, prehistoric
Yeah,
face.
you gotta see the black scar on this guy's face. Where did that come from? Is that a birthmark?
But when it does come back to Mama's music, Charlamagne just keeps pressing. He insults her again for not getting her music played in clubs or on the radio.
You one of the biggest DJs out of envy. Is anybody checking for Lil Mama? Tell the truth. When the last time somebody said, yo, play a Lil Mama record in the club?
Not at this present
When
time.
the
Angela Yee.
last time I put out a record?
You just said you got so much music out.
Jess hilariously tries to bring things back around by asking Lil Mama if she's really focused on music right now, pointing out that she's talking about taking a hiatus while also claiming she has music coming out. And that's where the waterworks start.
While my mother was dying of cancer. That right there alone is a struggle. That's hard.
Right.
That's tough for anybody.
Lil Mama breaks down for a moment while she talks about putting out her first album. But if you watch the whole interview, it's not hard to see she lost her cool after being bullied by Charlamagne. And guess what? September 2022, 11 years after that interview, Lil Mama lashed out against Charlamagne on social media, claiming he tried to trick a black young successful woman from the bottom of her spot. She even compared him to cops and killers trying to hold black people down, showing that bad blood is still there over a decade later.